Let's get into business very quickly, kicking things off with oil prices. We heard, of course, yesterday, Secretary of State Mr. Blinken saying that we have finally, at least on the Israeli side, an agreement to a ceasefire and that Hamas needs to pick up the baton and agree. So oil price is actually falling. So I guess as geopolitical concerns recede, at least on the hopes of it, you've seen oil now falling back to $70 levels. So Brent crude $76.98, West Texas Intermediate $73.75, natural gas is at $2.20. That has been falling. We brought you those numbers yesterday showing that inventories in America, they're drawing down. Asian stocks, Japan again continues to be the champion of the Asian region. Shanghai Composite Index in mainland China, of course, property issues, the steel matter, which we brought up yesterday, weighing on stocks in mainland China, 1.3% down. But look at the Nikkei 225, 2%, 200 basis point climb. The Kospi, 85 basis points to the good. Your Hang Seng is down. Your S&P ASX 200 in Australia, that is up. Subsidies are my subject for today. Let's go to Singapore. So Singapore has an election coming up. What's his name? Prime Minister Wong, part of a ruling party that has been in office or in power since 1965 or so. You know that political parties want to do what they can in order to alleviate living conditions for people. Singapore subsidizes housing. So they are placing curbs on public housing in order to bring prices down. Let's take a look at the summary as far as what we're seeing from Singapore. So essentially, they want to tame price increases. Prices for houses have surged to as high as $1 million. The Singaporean dollar trades at 3 to 1 to the US dollar. So a million Singaporean dollar home is $764,000. Now, they are putting what's called loan to value limits. That's LTV, the third line there. A loan to value is basically a ratio that measures the amount of a loan to the value of the assets that the loan is being used to purchase. You can use it for a car, you can use it for a home. So they are limiting it to 75% from 80%. What that means is that the amount of money, the down payment that the borrower has to bring forward has been increased. So $1 million home, your loan to value ratio of 750,000 or rather 800,000 has now been brought down to 7,550,000. So you have to bring up a higher down payment. Now, they're also giving a housing grant. The household housing grant, they have increased it from 80,000 Singaporean dollars to 120,000 for a household. So they are giving grants and subsidizing the rest of it for homes, for households. Also single people. If you're a single person in Singapore, you used to be able to get 40,000 Singaporean dollars to put down for your home. They're giving 60,000 now. This is the fourth round of property cooling measures in Singapore since 2021. So what it is they are fighting market forces because prices continue to appreciate in Singapore, and they're trying to cool those prices down. So again, it is just, when you talk about what to subsidize, what better than housing in order to give a graduate that comes out of school a chance to be able to own a home? Now we get to the NNPC. We've already dug into this. We need the financials, right, in order to be able to dig into exactly how the NNPC was able to make more money. Some say oil prices were higher in 2023. Others suggest because the fuel subsidy was partially removed, then under recovery was reduced a bit. I don't know. We have to get into the numbers. But your revenue is there. You see the gross profit. Notice that whenever we have these up, we usually put the percentage growth. But we don't have those financials yet from the NNPCL, so we'll have to get those things there. Further, if you look at the further highlights, I thought this was very interesting. Cash and cash equivalents are 7.7 trillion. Their final dividend of 2.1 trillion. Your dividend payout ratio, there's an calculation you can do to find out how much of your net profits you are paying out as dividends, is 80%. You can either pay out dividends or you can keep your earnings as your profit as retained earnings. We know about the infrastructure issues that we have in Nigeria, the debilitating pipelines, the war against oil theft. Should this amount of dividends be paid, whereas we're using retained earnings for infrastructure? But as Rufa already brought it up, there was the big news yesterday. They are saying now that those dividends should be used for fuel subsidies, which, as I've argued several times, are inefficient. And let's put that to practice here. Look at how much these fuel subsidies are hitting Nigeria's revenues. If we take a look at the revenue target for the federal government of Nigeria, Zak Adediji has said that they are aiming for 19.4 trillion naira in fiscal year 2024. Now, The NNPC also revealed, that is Mr. Umaji, the Chief Financial Officer yesterday, that the government owes the NNPC 12 months to July, 7.8 trillion naira in fuel subsidies, right? So these subsidies don't just come out of the air. This money that is owed. If you take that as a percentage of the revenue target, it is 40%. By the way, we have not hit that target yet. So you are taking, so if our revenues end up being less, it means that the subsidy debts that is owed to NNPC as a percentage of our revenues is actually higher. So you're actually hitting yourself in the foot, because the revenues that you're trying to make up, you are paying off most of that in subsidies. Speaking of Zacchaeus Dede, he was speaking about, let's take a look at a couple quotes from him, because he was like, the government now is looking at getting revenues from cryptocurrency. So a couple quotes from him, where he talks about the revenue target, and he talks about looking at getting funding from money from cryptocurrency. So we set a target of 19.4 trillion for ourselves this year. We are almost in the third quarter of the year, and with that figure, or the figures we're seeing so far, I can say we're on the path to achieving our target, which is great. But again, almost half of that is going to subsidies. And then on cryptocurrencies, he says we cannot run away from the cryptocurrency ecosystem because it is the in thing. We need a law that regulates that area of the economy. I would assume that's for the Securities and Exchange Commission and not the FIRS, but it is what it is. Look, again, on this subsidy thing, I go back to the Arise Exchange, which is hosted by the legend Bosun Omofaya, 7 p.m. weekdays. I sat in for him. This was 2 years ago. This was a conversation with the World Bank. Listen to what Shubham Choduri, the country representative for Nigeria, said about subsidies at the time.
And in this particular case, what we've highlighted, we did this 6 months ago, is that some of this, that the government does have a choice. Nigeria has a choice in the sense that we had up over 5 trillion naira that potentially this year, that's going to go towards covering the cost of PMS subsidies. And then we've said before, and I think many of your viewers will know, that PMS subsidies benefit mostly the rich, and some would say benefit mostly Nigeria's neighbors, because the cheap gasoline is often taken across the border. That 5 trillion naira could have been used, can still be used for these basic investments that Nigeria needs in its people and its infrastructure. Unless that happens, unless those PMS subsidies are dealt with, the only alternative the government will have is to increase borrowing in order to meet basic recurrent expenditures, do the minimum that's necessary. And that's going to obviously add to the fiscal deficit, that's going to increase the debt. And in our view, what matters is whether you're borrowing, whether a country is borrowing for reasons that will, and putting it to use in a way that's going to increase the productive capacity of the economy, of the people. Borrowing to finance PMS subsidies is a lot more concerning.
All right, finally, still on subsidies, since that's the topic of the day, what do we do about the poorest in the land? Since the argument from the other, some who say keep subsidies because you have to keep the poor, take care of the poor. Here's Kalu Aja. It's very popular on Twitter. I follow him. A lot of people follow him. Here's a suggestion he made with me on the Global Business Report. I think it was a couple of years ago as well.
Well, let's talk about the subsidy. I don't think it should go away. I think it should be redone. Right now, we're paying the subsidy at the ports, so it's filled with corruption and inefficiencies. We can design a system where we pay the subsidies at the pump, allow the poorer Nigerians, the need-based part of Nigeria, to buy subsidized fuel at the pump using BVN N9-enabled phones. So that way you take away the corruption. It's only payable in the Nigerian ports. That will drop the cost, and then the subsidy can go to those that can't afford it. We can't just take the subsidy completely away. No country does that, right? So the problem with the subsidy that is imported, if Dangote is making the PMS locally, then we can subsidize that local production. Very important.
That's it. Actually, the final point, you saw Vimbai with the headlines from The Guardian, right? 600 billion that the telcos, the states, right? How many times does 600 billion go into 6.8 trillion in subsidies? The other issues around it, just think about where that money could go. That's our.
You see, the problem with many people is that, especially the World Bank, that they don't understand Nigeria. It's not this trumped-up data economics that they do. You're talking about a country. And for those that you make the argument, we take the money, we invest in other parts of the economy, you're talking about a country that the government has invested 15 trillion in the coastal road that was needless, where you have other roads that were still remaining to be done. And they left those roads. In fact, actually, that 15 trillion invested in just one road was going to fix all the pre-existing roads in Nigeria. I didn't say that. Do you know who said that? The Minister of Works himself. But we took that money, went to launch a new project, and we left many roads undone. You're talking about a country that has a persistent, niggling mindset of corruption, where even if you make those savings, they will never reinvest into a lot of the people. Today we are talking about the presidential jets where they've not told us how they got the money to buy it. So for me, I understand the culture of impunity. Maybe down the line, if we change the culture of impunity, which I don't think will change anytime soon, you can make a sensible argument. You were talking about Singapore. I looked at you and laughed. Mm. Do you know what will happen in Nigeria when they build those buildings? Government workers will buy those same buildings of the government and sell it at exorbitant rates. Go and check most of the government housing they do. It's already pre-bought by the same people internally. So you are comparing with Singapore and you are saying, if you give home subsidy, it will never be visible here. Probably only the days of them Jack on Day when there was finance. It's government officials that will take, they will buy us all those homes at 20 or 10 million naira. And they will go and resell it at 40, 50 million naira. Go and check if it's that easy. All the homes going to have a building. Just please apply to buy one of these government housing projects. Just go ahead. I want you to do it yourself. Rotus, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. All you are saying is strategy. The deeper problem is the culture. I get what Kalu Ajagu is saying. Can we put the subsidy at the pump? But the culture of corruption will never allow them put it at the pump. You will see rich people faking beef. Do you see that Dambelo's investigation where somebody had 44 different accounts? 44 local government were paying monies to one account. So when you even say you want to do stickers for the poorest of the poor and, income bracket and things like that, they will still corrupt it. Wait till you see this import we want to import of food now. But you'll not hear the corruption that will happen. Haven't you even seen with the Forex situation that, it was for Form M for people and things like that. You're supposed to give them to benefit their business. Have people not fraudulently taken over the process? So the World Bank, with due respect, did not even understand the culture of impunity. They will come, they will crunch data and everything. That's why you see all their data crunching has not changed. And my fear has always been the draconian policies they put forward. I'll take you back to 86. This was how they advocated SEFM, second-tier foreign exchange markets. It will find the value at around 3 naira. It went up to, as at 1991, we're already getting over 7 to 11 naira. And we never remained the same then. I get all this empirical data, Rotus. But you can also observe it from the policy of corruption. Look at Zacchaeus talking about crypto. The same crypto that you have incarcerated them, what's it called, Binance now. But because you know that there's money coming from there, now you're talking about, it's not the same crypto that you said was affecting your Forex, that you should stop trading crypto so that your Forex will stabilize. Didn't they blame Forex? Now, they are doing Dutch auction system. It's not still holding the Naira. The Naira is still going to 1,600.
Okay, so Rufai, just one question. Is there anything positive you see in data with what has been put forward here? Because the thing is this, you ask for empirical data daily, right? So, this is, wait now, hold on. Yeah. The data here shows that subsidies are wasteful spending. The Singapore example, I was making the example to say that, because Nigeria, we do low-income housing here in Nigeria as well.
Who are the people that buy the low-income housing?
The point I was trying to make is that inefficient spending on subsidies, as was made by the World Bank, IMF, everybody, every analyst, every guest that has come here, puts the spending in other things that have value. Subsidies are a tax cut for the wealthy. So if you, just one second, I just want to wrap up. All you've done is just say corruption. If you bring a solution here, corruption will destroy it. You bring a solution here, corruption will destroy it. You bring it. So the thing is, the point is that if every single way you turn, you say that nothing will work, corruption will destroy it, then let me just put my laptop down, pick up my phone, and let everybody just go home and leave Nigeria to burn. You know what I'm saying? There has to be some hope and optimism that some of these things can work.
Rotus, let me tell you something.
It has to work. You can't be doomsday every day.
Rotus, when Tinubu came in, he promised renewed hope. He's renewed shege.
He's 1 year into office.
Wait now. Let me speak, Rotus. Yeah. Let me speak. You see, the problem with you, a lot of people don't understand the means. I'm a very factual realist. Hang on a minute. You think I don't want this country to work?
You think? Do you have
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
You think I don't want this country to work and I come here every single day advocating and fighting for this country? Against my own personal satisfaction sometimes? See, I have told you here that subsidy, yes, people are frittering it away. Have we been able to solve the corruption? Realistically, no. Do you think it's this present political crop that will solve your corruption? I here have advocated with you face removal. Have I not? But even with face removal, is it the same NNPC that they released their report today that you are saying you want the financials because you can't trust them enough? Are these the people who are going to live with this? So, Rotus, see, I am saying the reality so that people that are watching can understand realism and press for more accountability. You are talking about subsidy savings in a country where the president did not even respect you enough before he went ahead to buy a private jet behind you. He didn't even rate you enough as a citizen. So you think I don't want the best for this country? Rotus, we want the best. I'm hopeful.
Well, give me hope. Give me hope. I need to hear hope and positivity. Give me hope on something. Give me something you've seen that is hopeful. Give me one thing, please.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
My hope now will be, how can we increase revenue through mining?
But subsidy is eating up the revenue.
Wait now. Because see, if we harness gas properly, we are doing 12 billion revenue target. We can actually do $40 billion or 50 billion from gas if we harness gas. So we can increase the pots. That's a realistic hope to me. How can we drive more revenue? How can we look for loopholes and block corruption and ensure that we drive up the revenues? For me, that's more realistic hope that we can reinvest. But if you say with this patent resource, and you think this culture of impunity will not continue, Rotus, we are kidding ourselves.
Look,
I was like you many years ago.
You were like me.
All right. I think one of the things, just like when Vimbai came in, one of the things that must happen is balance. And that's why I love the fact that on the side, at the end of the day, both of you are fighting for the same thing, only from different sides of the table.
I'm just
so
realistic.
Rotus, in terms of renewed hope, hopeful and all that, and Rufai is a bit more realistic with regards to the Nigerian reality. But I do agree.
So when you say Rufai is a bit more realistic, are you telling me that the subsidies we are paying now, 6.8 trillion, we should continue to spend that each year when you have other items that you can put down, like housing, education, and healthcare?
Well, you need to listen. What he had mentioned was gradual phasing out of subsidy and also to fix the structural challenges that we have. I think it's side by side. So if we don't fix those challenges, no matter how much money we save on subsidy, it will still not go to housing, education. No, we're not saying that that's the end, that we're never going to fix it. But the reason why we must speak out about it is that we must acknowledge the fundamental challenges that we have in this nation. We have to. And it's not being negative. It's just facing the truth so that we can begin to challenge it. If we act or bury our heads in the sand as if there's nothing like corruption, if they save on subsidy, we'll go to education, we're not going to hold people accountable to actually fix the problem. I think that's where, for me, I was just going to, for the Singapore one, my comment on that was just that, of course, you can understand Lawrence Wong's position because he has an election to win come at least at the latest November 2025. And part of the things that the Singaporeans enjoy is affordable housing. About 80% of Singaporeans have access to public housing. And that is enabled by government policy, including the fact that aside from the loan-to-value limit, they are also giving increasing grants. So 40,000 in terms of grants to people who want to be homeowners, and also to stop the arbitrage, especially in terms of the higher resale value of homes as a result of the fact that they don't have enough homes for Singaporeans. So a number of things to consider, and that's a hallmark of good leadership.
Ayo, for the fact that we're having this conversation, we are both doomed. Subsidy is gone already, Rotus.
Hitman is coming down there. We have Hitman coming down there.
He's gone.
We need to go now. Like you mentioned, we have a deeper conversation.